This is Robert Kraft, and I'm coming to you live on SNNLive, and we're here at the SeeThruEquity Annual MicroCap Healthcare Investor Conference 2016 in San Francisco, California. With me right now is Vinny Jindal from QuikFlo Health. The symbol is QF on the TSX Venture. Vinny, welcome to SNNLive.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. So for our audience that may not know the QuikFlo story, let's get an overview of the company.
Sure. So QuikFlo was invented by some of the world's best clinicians for stroke, who, as they travel the world giving their expertise, they realize there's a common problem for creating better outcomes for stroke patients. And that is that when patients arrive at a hospital, typically the ER physician who's reviewing them first has a limited expertise in reviewing that CT image, that brain scan, that shows what's going on in that patient's brain and provides clues on how to triage them and how to treat them. So what we've developed is an artificial intelligence software that can read that CT scan, provide informational inputs to that ER doc, who can then create a more informed decision on what to do with that patient. The reason that doing that quickly is really important is that time is brain. Every minute that a patient has what's called ischemia, or lack of blood flow to their brain, they lose 2 million neurons. So a minute here and there can decide whether or not a patient lives or dies or walks or talks. So the ability to give that doc the information he needs to make a decision without bringing in a consult from a radiologist or a neuroradiologist or a specialist allows that patient to move forward on the treatment paradigm and the pathway and get resolution for their disease and possibly save their life.
Okay, so let's talk about the technology a little bit more. So how does it work? Is it a retrofit? Like, how does it actually work with the equipment that's currently available?
Yeah, like a lot of healthcare information technology, it integrates directly into the existing software ecosystem. So the patient is put into the CT machine, the CT image is created, and that typically goes into what's called a PAC software, a picture archiving and communication system. So that software receives that image, and then our software just reads it and provides an overlay so that when the physician takes a look at it, they can see not only the raw image, they can see the informational inputs that we're able to calculate.
And is there some data backing up, the types of data that you're then going to be putting into the software for them to read? Is that how it's going?
Yeah, so the issue really is that the best biomarker for stroke is that image, right? And when you want to be able to triage a patient, put them down a treatment pathway, you need to know what's happening inside of them. The issue really is that if you want to improve outcomes, either you're going to have a better treatment available, like a drug, or you're going to be able to make sure that all the patients who are eligible for that treatment get it. So right now, we're in a situation where up to 75% of patients who are eligible for the only drug approved for stroke aren't getting it, and about 25% of patients who are eligible for a surgical intervention are not receiving it because the ER doesn't know what to do with them and doesn't know that that patient's eligible based on the biomarkers that the CT scan is showing them. So if you were to imagine this software in operation, we may be able to pluck those 25 to 90% of people who need to get a treatment out of the sort of holding pattern that they're in and get them moving along to treatment and get that treatment in them faster. And then conversely, for patients for whom you can't do anything, the imaging tells us that and tells the doctor that. So instead of wasting time on a patient where they can't change the outcomes, they can let that patient move upon their natural course, hospice or whatever it is, communicate that to the family. Though the news may be bad, it's better to hear that sooner, and allow those precious medical resources to then be deployed on patients that hospital can actually help.
So what are your thoughts on the adoption rate when it comes to, because you said that this basically negates needing to consult a radiologist and other CNS experts as to what these results mean. What's been the feedback from them saying, okay, well, now we're just going to have the clinician make the diagnosis based on the image? What's been their comment?
Yeah, I don't think that any pieces of the current ecosystem are going to be removed. It's just an understanding that the different pieces have to communicate to each other. So what we intend to do is create efficiencies in those conversations. So the ER doc will still lean on the expertise of the radiologist in many situations, but now in the situations where he doesn't have to, he won't, and that time delay won't occur. So if you say out of 100 cases, the ER doc currently feels confident to deal with 10 on his own, and then consults for 90, if we can take that number from 10 to 20 or 30, then that's another 10 or 20 patients who are receiving their therapy faster.
So is there anything else out there like this on the market?
Not really. I mean, there's obviously some competition. We're not the first people to notice that time delays are causing, really negative outcomes for a lot of patients. But the approach that other companies have taken is radically different than ours. So they're relying upon the hospitals to change what they do. They want them to change their current imaging protocols, and then the softwares that they've created can extrapolate information from those images. We recognize that there's a variety of ways that hospitals want to do their imaging, and we're creating a software that can accommodate all those different ways to produce results for ERs around the world.
And where's the technology currently at right now? Is it still under development?
Yep, it's under development. We have a little bit of a head start in that our CTO, Ting Li, created the algorithms that power GE's CT analysis software. So this isn't a challenge that's new to us. In fact, mostly what we're doing right now is redefining what was already done. We're adding more bells and whistles on top of that we think are powerful and important and that the market is telling us they would value. So not to trivialize the endeavor of creating artificial intelligence for stroke diagnosis, but we have literally the world's best team to do it, and the progress we've made so far suggests that we're going to be successful in creating a product that can add real value.
Okay, so we're in 2016. What are some of the goals and milestones for the company in the calendar year?
So we're going to finish the prototype this year. We also have some important milestones in terms of fundraising and recognition from different agencies which provide grants. What we're doing is a major bottleneck for pharma companies, right? Only one drug has ever been approved for stroke, and you think about stroke being the third leading cause of death in America, all the other diseases from 1 to 10 have probably dozens, if not hundreds of drugs approved for each. So pharma is interested in a way to better understand stroke subtypes, to be able to stratify patients in trials in a way that allows them to figure out who to target and with what, right? So I think we'll continue gaining partnership dollars, grant dollars. Those will be important milestones in validation. Finishing the prototype, submitting to the FDA and regulatory agencies around the world for approval, and the granting of more IP. Those are the things that I think you can see from us.
And what's your background? How did you get into QuikFlo?
So I was originally a scientist. I used to research cancer at Sloan Kettering and endocrinology here in the Bay Area at UC Berkeley. And then I went on to Wall Street and was a Wall Street analyst covering the biotechnology sector on the sell side and on the buy side. I became an entrepreneur. I had an idea for a company and I just couldn't stop thinking about it. So I raised money for it, built the software, and then deployed it. So going from a scientist to becoming a public equities analyst and then the CEO of a software company gave me a background to be able to help develop a software for a public company that was meant for healthcare.
And where can our audience go and find more information about QuikFlo?
The best place would actually be our website, QuikFloHealth.com, and that's QuikFlo health.com.
My name is Robert Kraft, and I'm coming to you live on SNNLive, and we're here at the SeeThruEquity Annual MicroCap Healthcare Investor Conference 2016 in San Francisco, California. With me again has been Vinny Jindal from QuikFlo Health. The symbol is QF on the TSX Venture. Vinny, thank you so much for coming on.
Bob, thanks a lot.